All right, guys, it is August 21st, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Today, we are talking about time management because in general, as a whole, we are all getting our butts kicked by life at the moment. And that is something that I have dealt with every fall of my entire adult life. Fall is just a really, really hard time of year for most people because it's a time of transition. School is starting. Kids are going to school, which means if you have children, they need school supplies and there's meetings and you got to drive people places. And it's tough. And we've got a lot of teachers on the team. So obviously work starting back up, activities starting back up. And in general, for the whole team, I've kind of felt this general sense of holy guacamole. This is like a tough time of year. And how do we fit it all in? Okay, and so I thought about it, and I kept coming to you guys, and I was bringing my A game with invite tips and this and that. But if you don't know how to manage your time, it doesn't matter what you're doing during that time. Raise your hand if you think that you've wasted time in Beachbody. Like spent the Beachbody time that you've spent, you found yourself just kind of like aimlessly looking for people or like adding people from groups and then never doing anything with it, putting out a post and never doing anything with it. You start to get yourself geared up and then you don't have the time to follow through. So all of a sudden now you're in a situation where it's like, well, why did I even put the effort into making that group or making that post or making that whatever, because it didn't turn into anything, right? We've all been there. Every single one of us. So what I wanted to do today, a little bit different than what I normally do with you guys, I want to actually show you and explain to you how I managed my time when I was teaching full-time, taking grad school classes, working a second job, working a third job, and running pretty much everything in our school district as far as like being on committees every single day after school, training all of the new teachers. And for me, that was really why the beginning of the year was so tough. Aside from the school year starting, I was responsible for every new teacher, which was usually about 100. Every new teacher that our school district hired, I was in charge of social events for them for the entire first couple months of school and all of their trainings. So it was like working a job on top of teaching, on top of my classes, and I was drowning. And this is how I managed it. So I'm going to teach you guys what I did so that even nobody has extra time. Okay, it's called Parkinson's Law. Parkinson's Law says that no matter how much time you give to something, that's how much time you will get it done in. Like, I gave the example earlier, like if you're going to go to a party and you've got hours to get ready, how long do you spend to get ready? You spend hours. All of a sudden you forgot that you were supposed to already be at the party and your friends are all waiting for you and they can't get in until you're there, whatever. All of a sudden your booty hustles a little bit faster, right? You're able to get the same amount of things done in a shorter amount of time because you only allowed yourself that amount of time. So my suggestion for you guys would be to set boundaries for yourself. You do not need to work on Beachbody 24/7. You do not need to be working on Beachbody all the time. You do not need to work on it until late hours in the night where you're exhausted and you're not even doing anything or being productive. You need to, yeah, I know, John, it's okay. You need to set boundaries for yourself in time periods and know what you're going to be doing during those time periods. And there are some tricks that I made up along the way to be able to make this work on a large scale, right? You guys saw me. I was getting 20 Success Club points a month with all of those obligations. And a lot of you received those calls and texts from me on the drives to school, right? Or you got like text messages from me. I'm driving to school and I'm like, Siri, text Kerri Burgoon. What do you want to say to Kerri Burgoon? Tell her, hey girl, exclamation point. I hope that you're having a good day, exclamation point. How are things going with your health and fitness, question mark. Send. I mean, that was my drive to school. That's how I was able to get in touch with so many people and connect with so many people in that short period of time. But in order to do that, you have to know who you are contacting. You have to like have a list, right? I can't invite for the first time doing that. So that's a really good technique for follow-up or for checking in on your existing challengers. Okay. Okay, I'm going to actually use my, like, these are my notes. Aren't they pretty? I am a to-do list kind of a person, okay? And if you have a to-do list and you set those time boundaries on it, you will be able to do this business broken up in 10-minute increments if that's what you need to do. Some people have an hour, like a set hour. That's totally fine. But you can waste that hour very, very, very easily if you're not following a to-do list. Boom, get it done, and know what you're doing. So first thing I need to say is you guys need to be taking care of yourselves first. Okay, so within the morning, I prefer the morning for myself. If that's not the time that you do it, then do it whenever you do it. But in the first hour of my day last fall, I made it my goal to have my workout done, my PD done, so my personal development, my posting done, my shake. So basically everything that was related to me and having me have a good day and all of that, that was done in the first hour of my day. So in order to do that, I had my pre-workout sitting out the night before. I had my alarm set and I counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or do whatever you have to do. Get your butt up, get in, do your workout. And I like to race the clock. Okay, I have an issue where I am so like ADD that even during the workouts, I get distracted. I want to do this other thing. I'm bored. Like, it's really bad. And so what I've started doing is while I'm doing the workout, every time we have that little teeny break, that's enough time for me to see a squirrel and run off in another direction, guys. Anytime we have that little break where he's explaining the move, and I've already done this workout before, so I already know the move and I don't need that, I grab my phone, take a quick picture, set the phone down because now he's starting. Then he describes another move. All of a sudden, I upload it, like add it to my challenge tracker, and now I've logged my shake. So I had a list in the workout room of all of the things. It was just on I had a whiteboard, but before that I had a sticky note, and I had a list of things that I had to complete before I left the room. And it helped me get through that so much more quickly. I think on my list was, I would listen to PD sometimes. If you've already done the workout a ton of times, do you really need to hear them saying switch? Or hear the description or hear all of that? No, you don't. I mean, not if you've done it a bunch of times. And so for me, today I turned on Shift Shop and I listened to Chalene Johnson's podcast, which was the same amount of time. And I watched and I was doing it and I was listening to her and I was doing the motions. And by the time I was done, I had a really stellar workout because I was focused on the words, and it helped me to kind of like zone out of how hard it was, how hard my workout was. And then I was done with both. Take some pictures, upload it to my challenge tracker. So I've got my logging done. I've got my PD done. You guys see what I'm saying, right? By the time I walked out of that room, I had knocked like 6 things off my list. Then I go, I make my shake. I went downstairs. As I'm getting ready, guess what I listened to? If I listened to one thing on business, then I'd listen to something to help me grow as a human being, like manage stress, life skills. I listened to that while I was getting ready. This doesn't take a lot to get gorgeous, but it takes enough that I could probably listen to like a 6-minute video in that time, right? So if you look up like someone that you follow, top Beachbody, whatever, or go to John Houston's Houston Works page, put in the code Wolfpack, right, on Coach Trainings, and watch one of those amazing videos that he has in there that are the top coaches teaching different skills, and do that while you're getting yourself pretty. So those are my little tricks. Like just in the morning now, I've gotten 2 trainings in. I've got my workout in. I've got my shake in. I've got everything logged. And this is what I do with my PD. Whatever I listen to becomes my post. So whatever the person is saying, I copy them. I'm not just coming up with this stuff because I'm like super brilliant. I listen to it and I apply it to my life, and however I'm applying it to my life becomes my post. So when you're doing your workout, that's your picture. When you're doing your PD, that's the post that goes with it. Because your sweaty face without something applicable, something that people actually could benefit from, is just your sweaty face. So that's how you make your sweaty face into something that is actually valuable. Yeah? You with me so far? Okay, cool. As far as your PD goes, I think that podcasts are a really awesome way to go, because I would love to say that I was that coach that got on the national wake up call as a teacher, but the answer, like the truth is I didn't. That 10 o'clock time just never worked for me. But the national wake up call is a really, really good way to feel like you at least know what's going on in the business. Like I would talk to my coach and she'd be like, oh my gosh, like this new thing, I'm so excited. And I was like, say what? What are you talking about? You know, because when I'd get online, it would be to do my job, and I wasn't really looking through like Beachbody's content. So the cool thing about doing it through a podcast, if you get on iTunes and you type in Beachbody National Wake Up Call or Beachbody podcast, you can scroll past that whole first 10 minutes of it where they say like, shout out to this person, shout out to that person. Oh, I forgot to do our shout outs. Noting that, shout out. But seriously, you can skip over that whole part and just get to the person who's talking. And that's something that I do, obviously, when I'm getting ready, when I'm doing my workout, when I'm folding laundry, which is the worst task in the entire world, the worst chore of all time. Podcasts make it a little bit better. I also highly recommend Chalene Johnson. If you are someone who struggles with confidence in any way, shape, or form, her Courageous Confidence Club podcast is free, and it's so good. She's got all sorts of life skills that you could then turn into your posts. I also suggest, if you're at the point where you're really digging into this business, she's got a podcast called Building Your Tribe, and she's got all the like do's and don'ts for social media, do's and don'ts for posting, how to make Instagram stories, like all that kind of stuff she has, and they're very entertaining because she is very entertaining. So I highly recommend that. Another recommendation I have, and this is something I did towards the end of the school year, I started doing post prep the same way I was doing meal prep. In fact, I would do them at the same time. So when you're prepping your meals, and I know not everybody needs to do meal prep. If you're at home or you have a job where you can come home for meals, this doesn't maybe apply to you. But what you can do is when you're making dinner or when you're cooking your food, start writing posts. And they do not need to be like 5-paragraph stories of your life. I'm talking like listening to a podcast, typing down some of the sentences. Now you've got maybe on your notepad and your computer or on your phone or wherever you keep it. Now you've just got all these post ideas. I probably have 200 of my posts in a notepad that says posts. And I just save them there and I reuse them. If I'm short on time, I just copy that and put a workout pic in. It works. It works. And it's a lot faster than thinking, oh man, I have to like write up a post now and I don't have time to do that, so I'm just not going to post anything. So I hope that these tips help you guys to see like the all or nothing mindset doesn't work in Beachbody at all. Because when you do all or nothing, then your challengers do all or nothing. And all or nothing always ends in nothing. So then we're all just doing nothing. And that's bad. Bad for business, It's bad for you and your relationships, right? Because you've built relationships with these people, and then it's embarrassing to have to come back and say, because I've been there, I'm so sorry I haven't checked in with you for the last 4 months, but like, I'm here. And this is, my life is slightly easier now, and now I have time to like be a good coach. Like, it sucks to have to do that, but sometimes you have to suck up your pride. So if you've been absent, get your butt back in there, suck up your pride, and put what they need above how you feel, and get them back on board. Reach out to them. Have those be your call people, like, and on your way to work or whatever you need to do. So post prep, having your challenger list prepped and in your car so you know who to call or who to send a text message to, I think will take you, you'll get somewhere with that. You will. Timers. If you're someone who spends a lot of time doing power hours and you're not getting results, you're not getting people, it's time to start tracking what you're doing. Start paying attention, like start writing down the time that you start an activity. If you're adding from groups, you shouldn't be adding from groups for more than like maybe 5 minutes a day, right? Because that's like, it takes like 5 seconds. Shouldn't take you that long. But if you're just like scrolling, looking for your next best friend, you could sit there doing that for a really long time. But at the point that everybody in this group is at, the priority, 90% of your time needs to be having conversations with people. 90% of your time. So if you're not doing 90% conversations, 90% like building relationships, 90% asking people what their goals are and what they need, then that's why you're struggling. Like if you feel like you're struggling, and you're not doing 90% conversations, that's why. Which is so easy to do. It's so easy to get caught up in making the perfect post or making the perfect collage, or like, if I just do this type of thing, it's going to fix everything. It's not. I already did that and it sucked and it didn't work and it wasted a lot of my time. So don't do it. Right? Like, don't do it. Just start talking to people. Another thing that I did is I carried my Shakeology water bottle all around. And that's something that like Amber does. Amber Dunlap does that all the time, brings her Shakeology water bottle, and it's a great conversation starter. So if you're too busy to feel like you can even get online very often, remember this. That means that you are in the world doing things, which means there are people. Which means there are people that you could talk to about it. Right? Amy Silverman is she's like, do you go to PTO meetings? Like, get in there, man. There's moms up and everywhere. Go talk to the moms. Like, are you at parent-teacher conferences? Talk to the teachers. They're people too. Like, if there's people around you, then there's somebody to talk to. But you have to find out what their goals are. Otherwise, you're not going to really, then you're just a salesman. Then it's just sales. Then that's when it gets yucky. Okay, so set a timer. Keep yourself on track. Log how much time you're doing each activity. And if it's not 90% relationships, you're doing it wrong. And I love you, but you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong, and that's why it's hard. Okay, so conversations. A lot of us have gotten into the habit of starting. Raise your hand if you've like added a ton of people and then you've reached out to them and like, hey girl, it's cool to talk to you. Like, glad we're friends or something. And then maybe you've added them to the She Fit crew and then you just never ask them to be in a challenge. Or you're like, hey, are you interested in being in a challenge? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, not cool, right? We can't just like, if you invite them and then you bail or don't follow up or the conversation dies, that's because you didn't spend 90% of your time working on the conversations. That's something I've had to learn the hard way. So don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, so that's kind of what I have as far as time management. I hope that that helps you guys out. There are so many scripts out there, and there's so much information. But at the end of the day, you guys already know how to do this. We all know how to do this, right? Like, hey, are you interested in being in a challenge? Oh, you are? Great. Tell me about your goals. Oh, really? Why? Oh, really? Why? Oh, really? Why? Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. Okay, we're doing a 3-week challenge, and we're going to help you out with all those things that you just said, and we're going to save you a ton of money from your grocery bills, and it's going to be awesome. When do you get paid? You know, like we know how to do it. More trainings aren't going to help you. More scripts aren't going to help you. You just got to start talking to people. You get what I'm saying? Picking up what I'm laying down? Especially if you're short on time. Okay? Expo markers are my best friend. I leave notes for myself everywhere. Like in the bathroom, I had a to-do list. Every time I'd go to the bathroom, I like did one of the things, and it was like a 2-minute task. Add 5 friends, or invite one person, or check in on my challenge tracker and cheer people on, right? Because with all the people that we have in our challenges, guys, I'm the only person who's commenting on anybody's stuff. So that's how I can tell you're stressed. Like, that's how I can tell. So putting those tasks in like pockets in different places with reminders, that's how I was able to hang last year when it was really, really hard. To-do list in the gym, to-do list in the bathroom, to-do list in the kitchen. Oh, by the way, I wanted to show you guys, this is like a little bit off topic. Your refrigerator is the best light. Jill Couts taught me this. If you like have sucky lighting for selfies, open the fridge and put your face in it. And it's like, it works so well. And if I know, it's like, what? If you are taking food pics and you're like, oh, the lighting in here is kind of like, that's how I always feel about it. Open your fridge, hold your plate in, and take a little food selfie. Like, I've started doing all of my live videos in my refrigerator. It's so funny, and it works, and it's like, I'm like, oh man, I look great today, because the light is shining on you so bright, and it like takes away any blemish that you've ever like that's coming in. Can't see it. Beautiful lighting. Tip. Give it a try. So in conclusion, time management tips with Kerri. I really appreciate that you guys are getting on here, because I know that everyone is really, really busy. And I know that for a lot of us, it's everything that we can do just to like survive and like get our own workouts in, let alone try to talk to other people about it. But remember, sharing what you're already doing really could take, if you do it right, it's not going to take that much extra time. It's up here. It's up here. This is what's hard. The actions, the to-do list, it's not that much time. It's not hard. It's up here. It's that feeling of like, this is going to eat me alive. I can't handle this. This is too much, right? We've all felt that at some point. So if that's you, what I'm saying is take this to-do list and cut it up in little teeny pieces and put it in the places in your life that you're already doing, so that it's not so overwhelming, and so that you're never doing the all or nothing. Okay? Are there any questions on that? Or does anyone have something to add to that, like a time-saving tip or trick that has worked really well for you to manage your own time? Nobody.
Thanks.
Hi.
Okay. So you might have said this one already, because I had to go chase down a bike. It wasn't there. Okay. But so one thing that I've noticed is like friending people from the groups that I'm part of is something I can do while I'm doing other things. And so like if I'm watching a movie with someone or like doing something else, then I just, on my phone, it's easier, it's faster. On Facebook itself, it's not fast, but I just like go to the members and you can swipe through people and you can like friend request the people that look awesome to you. So I try to do that. I'm like, oh, this is a good friend request time.
Yeah, great idea. So like I put it like, I seriously have reminders everywhere in my house. It's like on the remote at friends, you know, like, but that's what works for me. Anybody else have an idea? Like maybe you're not doing it right now, but in the past you've done it. Something that this is like brought up an idea that you used to do that worked well for time management. Really? John Houston.
I think I just wanted to say the time, having the times to do it and breaking it up. I think what really locked it in for me is like actually writing it down with the time that I was going to do these different tasks. Not just knowing when, but writing it down and trying to hold myself to that. Like I'll put a time on it, like 8 o'clock. Okay, if I don't get it to 8 o'clock, if I don't get to it till 8:15, that's cool. But like a guideline, it helped me to write it down and actually have a schedule to go by, so that I wasn't just winging it, thinking I'll do that whenever. That was Deadsville for me. It didn't work out at all.
Yeah. It's like kind of like a in your mind cloud of like things that I should be doing in general. Yeah, that's great. Anybody else? Shelby, you got any tips? You're rocking it over there.
I don't feel like I've been rocking it lately, but I know
the number of people that you're adding to the Fit crew.
Thank you. No, I have made some really good connections in the groups that I've had that I became a part of here in Alpharetta. But the opposite side to that is I'm finding that I'm also coming into a lot of other direct sales reps in those groups because we're not the only one, that just become members of groups to sell stuff. And I'm finding in my area, I live in a very affluent area, and there's just like stay-at-home moms on top of stay-at-home moms on top of stay-at-home moms, and they're all selling something. So I'm kind of running into that quite a bit here lately, actually, and a lot of them are into fitness because this is a really fit area too. So I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, but I used to do the ABC method, so I know I've talked to you about that and I've shared it on this call, but I have found that taking a break from that and then just going into groups and inviting and kind of going through the funnel with them, but then going back about every 2 months to my ABCs, so to speak.
Can you explain that for anybody who doesn't know what it is?
Yeah, so if you're in Messenger, you can, down at the bottom, you can look at all of your contacts alphabetically. So I used to follow the ABC method, which means I would go through A and B every Monday, or A, B, and C, however many, I find that like if I go through R, I like have 175 friends that start with R, and then I may only have 10 that start with A or whatever. So I would just go through a certain number of letters a night, and I would basically start with whatever part of the funnel I was in. Some of them were Hey Girls, some of them were She Fit ads, some of them were challenge invites. So I recently, at the end of July, started going back through those. And I actually shared this with Kerri on our one-on-one. I found that there were a lot of people that I had gotten real happy-go-lucky with when I first started coaching, and like skipped right on over the Hey Girl and was straight to like, hey, you're cool, join me in a challenge, and wasn't getting any responses. I actually went back to those people and invited them to the She Fit crew and kind of got to know them a little bit more. And that is actually how I got the bulk of my ads that I've been adding to the She Fit. So I highly recommend kind of going through that method. I'm finding that there's actually a lot of people that are getting missed in my Messenger that have accepted me as a friend. Sometimes they don't go in there and show as a new connect. So when I was going through the ABC too, I was finding like 15 to 25 people that I was missing that had accepted my friend request. So it's really cool to kind of see who's all your friends in there.
Great idea. Yeah. Great idea. Okay. I want to really quick give a shout out to Kelly Lynn, John, Diane Smith, Libby Steimel, Lisbeth, and myself for changing a life this month, at least one. We've got some people who are definitely, I mean, it's a tough month. It's a tough month for everybody because the last thing you want to do in your last month of summer is start a health and fitness challenge, right? It's like people have this very last month with their families and they're like, no, there's still beer in the fridge. There are still s'mores to be had. Like next month, typically the numbers go up, but this is like a well-known thing. There are certain months that are hot for Beachbody and certain months that are not. And this is a not month. So that means you have to work extra hard and meet people where they're at and find out who is ready now, because there are people, they're just not as many. It's not as much of a trend. So shout out to all those people who are really digging in. I've seen you guys working and I really appreciate that, even though some of us have had really, really rough weeks. You guys have still checked in with me and you've checked in with one another and you've cheered each other on. So if nothing else, please continue doing that. Like if things get hard, this is a family. So don't retreat. Don't get embarrassed. Don't let pride stand in the way of those relationships. Like connect with people, tell them what's up, tell them what's going on, and let them support you through it. Okay. We have our I'm too busy for this challenge coming up. We call it that because when I was telling people, hey, we've got a fall into fitness challenge going on, they're like, cool, I'm too busy. So instead, I changed the name to the I'm too busy challenge, and people are like, that sounds like me. All of a sudden, they can connect to it, right? Stole that idea from Marie, from my coach. And when I started inviting people, hey, a bunch of us are way too busy. We cannot handle life at all, but we still want to be healthy. We still want to be fit. We know it's important, but we have no idea. Like it is hard right now. And so we need each other. Do you want to join a challenge like that? And people are like, yeah, I do want to be healthy. I do want to be fit and I cannot handle life right now. That sounds just like me. So our entire goal, if you're in this challenge with me, guys, everything we post, if I'm posting my shake, I'm doing some sort of time-saving tip with it. Okay, so everything is like how to meal prep more quickly, how to be more efficient with your workouts, how to like cut corners in the different places that you can possibly cut corners to save time during these very busy months. Okay, we're also ideas for lowering stress, for being more productive. Any of those things would be really, really beneficial to be posting both in the Facebook group or in the challenge group, in the app. And I've got people who have already signed up to help lead that. So that's awesome. If you're not on that list, look through Fit Crew Coaches group and add your name to the list if you're willing to be part of that leadership team. Thanks for getting on. Am I forgetting anything right now? If anybody has points on the board, I would love to meet with you. Or if you are like, I want to do this, I'm still all in, like help me hit Success Club this month, I would love to just go through messages with you and help you get there. I'm available. Yes, John.
This is to everybody else. It helps, dudes. She just did it with me while she was at the house and turned my life around. My first thought was, I don't even think I knew how to do this before. Seriously, let her go through your stuff. It's embarrassing. She'll find your porn. It's fine. But just do it. It helps.
Oh, John, I love you, man. So yeah, it's really, really easy when you've already been through it to look at someone else's messages and help them to be reflective and say like, okay, so what did you miss here? What step did you miss? And just kind of draw some attention to little tools that you could make that would maybe make a big difference in your conversational strategies, etc. So anyway.
Okay, I'm just curious. I walked in and John said something about porn.
That's what we've been acting out this whole time, Marie. You just missed it. It was like pretty much a team bonding activity that was mostly porn, but maybe next time, you know.
Interesting. Yes.
What happens when you come late to the party, dude?
Apparently, it's a different type of party.
Yeah. Okay, well, this recording will be out. I want you guys, when I post the recording, I'm going to ask that you guys share your schedule, how you are handling this, where you're going to fit it in with times. Have a good night. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.